Yep.
So can you tell us briefly about your journey into podcasting and teaching?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. Kia ora, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be here on the mics. Essentially, podcasting was a hobby for me. Those old enough to remember SingStar, they were my first podcast mic. SingStar 2, PlayStation 2. I worked out how to plug them into my computer, and I was a podcaster.
Wow.
I needed to do podcasting because I'm a verbal communicator. I think it's the dyslexia. So growing up, I needed to find ways to communicate with the world. When podcasting came along, it was a fantastic hobby for me. I had a young family at the time, so I'd get my SingStar mics, I'd get on the road and I'd go interview people. And who knew it would become my job, and who knew it would become my passion?
Beautiful. How did you become involved in helping Toimai to develop this skill standard in podcasting?
So this is just my personal view. I don't think there's enough ways in schools for our young people to practice speaking. You have to go out to the world and use your voice, whether that be in a job interview, in a meeting. I'm staggered that you can't operate in school and earn credits by speaking. So I wanted to change that, but it's hard to make change. So I needed to work within the system. I was introduced to colleagues at Toimai, and they were looking for a podcasting vehicle because they'd been asked by teachers, podcasting. So the worlds and the stars aligned, and we were able to come together to create this together.
Beautiful. Awesome. Okay, so in simple terms, what is a podcasting skill standard?
In the simplest terms, it's for you to be able to earn credits by speaking. There is a small writing component, but it's primarily by you doing an interview with somebody and then being able to edit that, being able to publish that, and being able to be proud of that. So I like to do it where young people interview older people because that simulates life. You're going to have to leave school and someone's going to interview you. Get on the train early and learn how to interview them, and then you'll have an advantage. But earning credits by speaking.
So why is it such an important step for learners and educators?
There's two parts to that, and I'll start with the one that's most dear to me. We come from oral-based traditions. If you're Māori or Pacific or any other indigenous culture, you didn't pass things on with the written word. You passed things on with the spoken word. So I want that acknowledged in our education system, that speaking is your heritage and you need a chance to be able to verbalize. Second part to that is we want better communication. We want better communication in schools, with teachers, with counselors, with health workers. So let's actively do that. Let's communicate. Let's find a vehicle to allow us to communicate. And podcasting is a fantastic way because it finds common ground. You can be a young person speaking to a principal, but when you're in front of the microphones, when the red light's rolling, we're all on the same ship. And so it's really cool to be a way to kind of make everyone even. And in that even is where the connection begins.
Awesome. And I guess for those rangatahi as well, in this generation and age, where they're behind devices quite a lot and don't necessarily, or possibly not always use their voice as per se, in times gone by.
Yeah, you can't always text your way out of trouble.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to verbalize it. What we do know from the mental health space is something held in, not good. That is what talk therapy, which is the way that counselors help you, they help you get it out. And so podcasting is a great way to get it out in a safe, controlled way inside the classroom with teachers having your back.
Beautiful. So what does it mean for your students now that their podcasting work can earn formal credits?
I think it gives them something to show potential employers because every employer says, what have you done? And that's the dichotomy. Young people are like, I'm young, I've done nothing. So it gives them experience with interviewing, researching someone, actually being able to channel interests. There's not that many places for young people to channel interests, but podcasting can be about any topic. So I really like that the students are engaged because it's about things that they like, but also podcasting's fun. Having a good chat's fun. And so that's what we encourage is be active doers, active learners. You be at the front of your own ship and we'll sail forward through the podcast realm. It's actually really fun for teachers too, because you don't necessarily have to teach. You're there to encourage. And so employers are very impressed because the student, if everything goes well along the journey, can improve their communication skills, their soft skills. And I like to say to young people, if you can build confidence through your communication, you can build your networks. And if you build your networks, that's your opportunity.
Great work. So how can schools or training providers use this to bring more creativity and real-world learning into the classroom?
I guess I would say, don't make it just about the technology. We think a podcast is all the microphones and the cameras, and it partly is. But a podcast is about, you got B2B in business. I like to call P2P, person to person, podcast to podcast. This is the key, the kōrero, the conversation. And that's why it's so fun, because a great chat is everything. So I guess my message would be, it has to be about building the confidence that one person can lead a kōrero with someone else. That's a podcast. Whether it's on your phone, on computer, or if you're lucky to have all this gear, awesome. But it's not just about the gear. The amount of places I go to which they say we've got a podcast studio, but there's storage boxes in it, because no one actually cares about this gear. When it comes down to brass tacks, it's about connection and belief that you could say something to somebody, they will listen, and they will ask you something.
Nice. So where do you see podcasting education heading next?
Well, I have an ambitious view. If you look at AI, we have these things called prompts. Prompts come from how you express. How do you express? You express through communication. I think if you can be good at podcasting and asking people questions, you can be good at telling AI what to do. Imagine a world where the written word is very important, but not critical. What's important is that you can get your ideas from your mind, your heart, out into the world. So you think about teaming that up with AI. Also, the world is about data. I think about data in terms of books, but let's think about data in terms of kōrero, in terms of conversation. Imagine a podcast with a grandmother, and in 100 years, you can go back and view that data. That is the most important data set, the data set of your identity. So the time is now. Technology can do a lot for us, but it can't get our ideas from your brain to the world. And I think podcasting is a vehicle to encourage that. That's not the only thing you need. You need your teacher to help you support you, and you need your community to help build your courage. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to speak to the world, and beautiful things will happen.
Yeah, it's kind of talking to like a whakapapa back in the day where everything was recorded, not necessarily recorded, but passed down to generation through song, through waiata. And so some similar where we didn't have the written word, as is now collecting that data to then pass on to the next generation.
That's right. And learning how to leverage technology to keep your data safe. So imagine if you became the knowledge preserver in your family. Our families have lots of knowledge holders, but who are the knowledge preservers? My hope is that through podcasting, our young people can be our knowledge preservers. So they have their identity stored in their mind and their heart, but also on the cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. So what message would you give to young creators who want to start podcasting?
My message is very simple. Go viral in your family. If you want to create to go viral online, okay, that might give you a short-term rush, but the rush you will get is being the creator who holds the knowledge of your family in 50 years. There's lots of our families who are missing pieces of knowledge because no one thought to push record, no one thought to get a pen. Your job could be to be the first person in your family to go viral in your family.
Beautiful.